Distinguished guests, eminent speakers, and our partners. So, today we have organized the Business Meets Sustainability Summit. This particular summit is being organized under the aegis of our BCC&I National Sustainability Forum, which is being chaired by Shri M.K. De, former Chief Secretary of Government of West Bengal. Unfortunately, he's stuck up in Cyprus, and due to the war situation, he could not make it today. He will be returning to Calcutta tonight. We have Dr. Meera Mitra, member BCC&I Sustainability National Forum and member governing body of Center for Responsible Business, who is one of the key advisor of this summit. We also have Sri Parthoes Bhattacharya, who was the ex-chairman of Coal India and chairman of PLS Group, as an advisor of this, advisor and special member of this forum. We also have Mr. Sudipta Bhattacharya, who is also an advisor and special invitee in this forum. So, this summit, as I mentioned, is a larger part of the Sustainability National Forum, and it aims to draw high-level national and international leadership to participate all through the inaugural day, that is March 5th, followed by key focus areas and interactive workshops tomorrow as well. So I welcome Dr. Meera Mitra, member BCC&I Sustainability National Forum and governing body, member governing body of CRB, Center for Responsible Business, to please come up on the stage, ma'am. I request Mr. Shubhit Chakraborty, sir, former President BCC&I and former MD and CEO, Excite Industries, and also a member of BCC&I Sustainability National Forum. Mr. Keiichi Higuchi, President, Kawasaki Rikuso Transportation. Mr. Vijay Goel, Regional ED, ER1, NTPC Limited. Mr. Anupam Mukhopadhyay, Executive Director, CGD Marketing, GAIL India Limited, and Chief Executive Officer of Bengal Gas Company Limited. And Mr. S.K. Das, Executive Director, Technical and Head of Haldia Refinery, Indian Oil Corporation. We also have Dr. Devalina Sengupta, Assistant Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, Energy Transition Institute, University of Houston. She will be joining online. So I request Meera ma'am to commence this summit by setting up the context of SDGs and sustainability in context of change. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Abhishek Babu. Good morning, namaskar. It is my great pleasure on behalf of the BCCI Sustainability National Forum to welcome you all to this Business Meets Sustainability Summit. It has a sub-theme called Leveraging Business Imperatives and SDGs, Leveraging Science, Innovation, Technology, Finance for the SDGs. So the following sessions will definitely highlight all the technical aspects. I am here only to welcome you on behalf of the committee and also on behalf of the chair of the forum, Mr. Molay De, who was the former Chief Secretary of the Government of West Bengal. So the forum has very many distinguished speakers, distinguished members, and this is one of our early minted efforts in this direction. An abundance of front-runner initiatives, knowledge-sharing experiences, and networks are poised to unfold over the day. The distinct delegates and speakers and others, business and social leaders in the audience, special welcome to you. Ahead of this expose in the different sessions, I take this opportunity to share a few perspectives on SDGs and sustainabilities in the context of change. So in September 2015, we remind ourselves the UN Agenda 2030 for the SDG saw 193 UN member states, including India, commit to collaborative action for, quote, people, planet, and prosperity, and also, quote, peace and partnerships. I mention this because I know the context outside of this is fairly the opposite. Intensification of conflict and of climate events and economic upheavals. So the question, of course, is, can sustainability sustain? This actually needs a lot of driving, deepening the gains that we have had, and also acknowledging and understanding the significance of challenges and the new tools available to meet them. On the gain side, the very big gain is continued commitment to sustainability globally and by India is firm. The India in the recent VNRRR, which is the Voluntary National Review report, played a huge role a decade after the SDG agenda was set in 2030 in not only presenting all their various programs and prospects, but also presenting at the ministerial high-level political forum. So the country is behind this, and that is a very big kind of support. The recently concluded India-EU FTA, which is infused with the joint Indo-European strategic agenda, is sprinkled throughout, as I looked at it, with sustainability initiatives. And I think this will be a further impetus to the emerging activities and interests on this front. However, on the side-by-side, actually, business has been nudged into nation-building exercises since liberalization, and through a variety of methodologies, including from the early CSI guidelines in 2009, if anybody remembers it, to various stops on the way to the BRSR reporting, which now integrates ESG very strongly and is now part of the mandatory requirement. So we should all be pushing ourselves in that direction. However, on the challenge side, many things remain. The SDG index score globally and for India has been very sluggish and disappointing. But overall, and I look at the positive side, there is a trajectory of moving forward on a positive slope. So although the report, the latest report, 2025, says at the global level, there are 17 goals of the SDGs are currently on course, not on course to be achieved by 2030, according to the UN. India has moved up on the score, SDG score during this period, and also pulled up its rank on SDG and sustainability to 99 from 167 nations. So going forward, about the challenges that I see for us as a country is that it is important to recall that Agenda 2030, which 193 nations committed to in 2015, had one overarching pledge, among many others, but there was only one pledge which was overarching, which was, quote, leave no one behind. Now this came with the vision that as people got incorporated more and more into the prosperity and participation process, then prosperity will grow. So, and for this particular pledge in the in the agenda, in the preamble of the agenda, is very important for India. So ahead of March 8th, which is Women's Day, which will be celebrated globally a few days from now, the spotlight is on the need of speedier action to drive greater participation. The kind of information which is coming out is giving us a more important sense of where we are going. So according to the World Economic Forum 2025 Gender Gap Report, it'll take 127 years for gender parity to be achieved. And that is 5 generations from now. This is the reality that we are working with. For countries like South Asia and East Asia, it'll take longer. So in the WEF Gender Gap Report, India 2025, India is ranked 131st out of 148 countries. And so there's a long way to go. Additionally, there is also information how even in the formal pipeline, this whole thing about women includes everybody, but in the formal pipeline, recent studies have shown that at entry level, women are there 33%, although they are, as graduates, they are about 48% of the total graduates. So they're 33%, with the remaining being filled by men. And as they go up the formal executive ladder, that percentage slips very strongly and slowly, rapidly. So this is the McKinsey Gender Gap Report 2025. Now how can all this be addressed? One other important dimension of the large exclusions, because we were talking about the single idea of the pledge that no one will be left behind, is a poverty in this country. India has a lot of difficulties because of its size and complexity and recent liberalization, so it's fairly a new nation from that perspective in terms of going forward. But the 4th largest nation of the world, which we'd like to be, despite reduction in poverty, still has 365 million people living in highly vulnerable conditions. So the poverty is divided into extreme poverty, normal poverty, and highly vulnerable conditions. So that number is 365 million, and you can keep dipping in and out of that whole process if you don't have the necessary support. So what is the kind of support that is necessary there? And here I want to say there is, of course, a huge impact of gender sensitization, because you are inculcated with codes from the time that you're a child, from the time you're at birth in a rural area. The dye differentiates between a male child and a female child in terms of the compensation. With the male child, of course, you get much more. The other thing is, of course, we don't do enough. And I'd like to share, with the permission of the Consul General of Germany, Ms. Barbara Voss, I was so delighted to get a letter from her which said that I don't do only male panels. So she will only appear if there is a woman there. So I'm the representative on this panel, and of course we have another woman also. And I am happy to tell Ms. Voss that this was done even before she had that letter there. So this is a kind of push that we have to give. And she informed me during our conversation recently that even men push that and say that I will not be there if there is not a woman represented on the panel. I hope we can take a cue from this, and Bengal Chamber can initiate this process and encourage that demand. So let me come back quickly to what is it that can be done. And one of the main things that is being said is the digital journey linking to Agenda 2030. And here again, in the VNRR report, which is the high-level report which is presented by India in the global international gaze, the digital journey is described as, is described as being linked to Agenda 2030. And there are a number of initiatives mentioned there as to what is happening already, platforms that are being used, and so on. We also have the whole approach of the government is all of society approach, which means that you have to take all the stakeholders into consideration. So here also, we have the stakeholders, which means all the constituents at the national, state, and lower level. Now, all of this change, where we are using these new technologies and then we are moving forward into speed. We're really looking at speed of transition when we use of technology. And AI has come hitched to the wagon of innovation, science, finance, and technology. And it is propagating or is promising, in the words of one of our AI global leaders, abundant sustainability. So this abundant sustainability, of course, is something that everybody would like, but I think we are all mindful that there is also interim abundant redundancy before we catch up again on the resilience path. So those things have to be managed, including the digital penetration and all the rest of it, the gender sensitization. So what are the kinds of actors that we need to do this? And one of the other things which I mentioned before I conclude is that the AIP index, which is the AI preparedness index, India ranks below the East Asian countries and East and South Asian countries, a little, but well above the sub-Sahara group. So there is an alignment with North American countries leading, then Europe, then developing nations, developed nations, then you have the East Asian countries, and then you East and South Asian countries, sub-Sahara. So there is this alignment. And what does that mean when you talk about digital transformation? Can we go with fundamental things when the rest of the world is going somewhere else? I think these are questions that we'll have to ask. So I will end by asking this question: what is the kind of person, what are the actors we need to bring this transition of trickling up from the bottom and contributing to the whole issue of prosperity and sustainability? Of course, all the sessions here are talking to specific issues, and all of them, there's no SDG which does not have an indicator which talks about something relating to access and affordable things for the people. So whatever SDGs you are talking about, and the importance of how you're going and the speed with which you're taking this forward, these things will all be there. So what are the kinds of actors? So first, we need an entrepreneurial state. That means a state which is nimble, strategic, working in partnerships. And I think that movement has begun, but more of it has to happen. The second is the public-minded business. So integrating deeply the people, planet, profit into the business models. And I was looking at the latest NSE report 2025 on ESG integration with a group called the SES. And it's clear that things on the environment, energy, and governance are highly invested in, whereas the social sector is really very low on that field. So I think from hearing this from NSE, and I think this is signaling the direction that will be expected in the future. I think these studies are important signals, and then also what's happening globally. So the entrepreneurial state, the public-minded business integrating deeply with ESG. There's also emerging trends of venture philanthropists, which means not just a philanthropist, but one who tries to get to the goals in a very systematic way. And of course, explored at the other end was Gandhi's Economics of God trusteeship, which is a spiritual awakening of process. So that is into the future or into now even. And finally, the first mile community civil society. The civil society and community are famously being talked about as the last mile contributors, linking the gap. They have to take a role in becoming the first mile in the design process and taking this forward. So with those few words, I thank you, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak. I just wanted to say one word, which is already mentioned. Mr. Molay Dey, former Chief Secretary, maybe I said it, he has been held up in his travels, and he would have been here to introduce you in person, but he sends his apologies for not being here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. May I now request Shubhi sir, chairperson of the session on affordable and accessible clean energy, to take it forward, sir.
Good morning. So, on behalf of BCC&I, I again welcome you to this August conference. We have a panel of very distinguished speakers here, who I'm sure will be talking to you about the specific subject of affordable and accessible clean energy. However, since this is a conference on sustainability, I would like to give a few of my own thoughts on the subject before we get to the individual speakers. Why do we keep on harping about sustainability? To a logical mind, it would appear that this should come naturally, isn't it? Humans should live sustainably, but then we do not. So the question is, why do we not? Let me take you back down the pages of history to 70 to 80,000 years ago, when Homo sapiens first started to migrate from the African Rift Valley.
Recording stopped.
They left behind areas of devastation. They destroyed forests, they killed a lot of animals, and that is how human beings have progressed. We must understand living unsustainably is part of our DNA, which is why we have to strive extra hard to live sustainably. If we do not recognize this fact, we will not be making any progress. Because we must understand that Homo sapiens is a unique species on this planet which has got sustainability in its DNA. Let me give you an example. If you look at the tiger will never hunt if the tiger is not hungry. If the tiger is hungry, then only it will hunt. Otherwise, you can present whole lot of food in front of the tiger will just ignore that. If you look at a well-balanced forest system, the deer reproduces at 4 times the rate of the tiger, and the tiger and the deer, they live in a sustainable fashion. So, the DNA which is there in all of us compels us to live in a fashion which is unsustainable. And the reason being that we want to accumulate more than we require. This is the core reason as to why human beings have to continue to talk about sustainability because we want to hoard, we want to consume more than we normally require for day-to-day existence. This is at the core of the problem. However, now let me shift to the subject on hand, which is affordable and accessible clean energy. Now, if we have to drive sustainability to the lowest rung of the pyramid, we need to look at affordable clean energy. Today, if you go down the road, you will see many of these small shops which serve street food, or even the person who irons clothes. You will find that person is using a coal chula, a coal oven, which obviously when that is fired, it causes a lot of pollution. Efforts have been made to convert. In the past, positive efforts have been made by various NGOs and I think even the corporation to convert these to LPG, but it has not worked. The reason it has not worked is because it is not affordable. So we have to really think very innovatively because ultimately what wins is the economics. If the economics is not in favor, it will never work. So I think we need to think in a very different fashion if we have to drive sustainability to the lowest rung of the pyramid. Now coming to industrial scale, I think all of us know about solar parks, wind parks, net metering. Now, what can really drive non-fossil fuels in our country is long-range solar access or long-range renewable access, which is there in some states, not there in some other states. In fact, I would even venture to add that instead of intrastate long-range solar access, we should think of interstate long-range solar access because a lot of areas in our country are very arid, which are not suitable for agriculture. We can set up solar parks and the consumers anywhere in the country can get the benefit of this. So this must be accelerated if we have to really derive the benefits of renewable energy and clean energy. Along with that, I think battery energy storage systems, because as we know that all these renewable sources of energy are intermittent and therefore we require very robust energy storage systems, need not necessarily be battery, can be mechanical also. Like we have the Purulia pump storage system in West Bengal. We need to think of ways and means of how to store energy so that we are comfortable with generating intermittent sources of energy. So with these few thoughts, I think I will now go back to the distinguished panel which is here. I will go in the order it's mentioned in the paper. So I would request Mr. Keiichi Higuchi, President Kawasaki Rikuso Transportation, to give his address. Now, after every speaker gives his address, I will try to summarize, and at the end of it, if we have time, we'll have a few questions from the audience. Thank you. Mr. Higuchi.
Well, good morning. My name is Keiichi Higuchi of Kawasaki Rikuso Transportation Company in Tokyo, Japan. And thank you very much for inviting me. And this is my honor to have such kind of opportunity to explain about our project ongoing in West Bengal. And first of all, this picture shows about in 1933. My grandfather was there, and maybe I can I? Oh, do you have pointer or here? No? Oh, I cannot point. But anyway, so my father was 3 years old, and we began our business in the city of Kawasaki. That's why we call Kawasaki Rixo. And February 21st, just last month, was our 102nd anniversary. And just 2 days before, March 3rd, was my 68th birthday. So I could spend my birthday here in Kolkata, but today, thank you very much. But I first would like to explain that even you say sustainability, but first of all, I am strong believer that human beings have to be sustainable. So we need to eat nice food, but healthy and reliable and safe. So sustainable means putting less input, because transportation always consumes energy. Our company is, let's see here. Oh. Our company, 102nd years old, and doing the business of public warehousing and trucking and customs clearance and value-add activities. We always consume lots of fuel and electricity, but making the input less, that means sustainable, but also we can generate the profit. So sustainability and profit, I think we can do both of them, but many people think it's costly. So I like to introduce our activities here, both in Japan and India, but please understand, we have only 176 trucks, and our revenue is only 53 or 60 million dollars in US. And we are the SMEs, but still we can do many things for sustainability. And most of our customers are like Coca-Cola, or Meiji is the largest chocolate company, and these kind of really sweets and nice for kids. Unfortunately, we handle very few alcohol, but so our company is really popular to employees' kids. And we began to operate so-called solar power and battery charging temperature-controlled warehouse, or renovated in Sakado City in 70 kilometers north from Tokyo. And this warehouse has solar panels and charged in the batteries. And almost 40% of all the electricity are powered by solar power. And we began this because after we were hit by the big earthquake in 2011, then we felt that necessity to have a reliable source, not to discontinue our service of logistics. So the system is like that. So during the daytime, solar panel generates electricity and operate the warehouse. But also the residue of the electricity are charged, they charge to the battery in storage. Then in the evening, when sun down, then the battery discharge electricity to operate the warehouse. So, as you know, that lots of problems in the world, the cost of price of electricity has been increasing day by day. And it's enormous, especially to operate cold storage or temperature cold storage. You know, the electric bill becomes so high. That's why we don't sell our electricity generated by solar, but we 100% consume by ourselves. And it does serve as BCP, business continuity planning. So even any kind of problem happens in the warehouse, of course, we have the diesel power generator, but we keep that minimum, the small amount, because solar power can generate most of that. So we don't need to have a huge one. Then, because of the lots of problem in Japan for aging society and many are seniors, and this is my personal experience that I always invited to wedding ceremony here. But right after I go back to Japan, always funeral. Less younger people marry. So I seriously considered the necessity to go overseas because the amount or volume of products to be transported in Japan are decreasing or declining every year. So our revenue will going down. So I found the Spark Bangla project in India, and I made this assumption for creating a smaller scale warehouses, not photogenic, really huge warehouse, temperature controlled or cold storage in various places in India. That becomes, the transportation distance becomes less. And especially in agricultural products, I found that many farmers are transporting their vegetables with small quantity, only like a 20 kg or something, and bring to the warehouse. But if we deploy many warehouses, they need to travel less. That means less energy. Then, after we built the warehouse in here, Shingu, actually the very first time I did not know about the meaning of Shingu here, and Tata's factory issues, but anyway, that does not affect me. But Singapore was very nice location to build our showcase small warehouse and still operating right now without any problem. So our experimentation in Singapore was so successful. That's why we decided to make the second warehouse in Shingu and Nakashipara in Nadia district. The Shingu warehouse possibly due and completed around probably December this year. And this is under the construction right now. But this is not really huge warehouse, so big warehouse. But we brought two important Japanese techniques or skill of storage. You can see the wooden wall bars, and this is a warehouse in Japan for storing rice. This is called nizuri, and nizuri is protecting the wall from hitting by fork trucks or cargo, but also make the space to circulate the air alongside the wall. So it distributes and make the air even, temperatures even. Another thing is shikui. That's a lime plaster or lime painting. And originally it came from Iran and India and eventually transferred to China, Korea, and came to Japan many years ago. But now you cannot find the lime plaster here, but we use the shikui plaster for outside wall of these castle or old warehouses. Then this is the completed shikui and nizuri type warehouse in Shingo. The small, only 1,700 square feet. But this serves as a processing room for vegetables. So this is kind of like a solution with not high technology, but I by myself call medium technology. And this is what the ladies are sorting and packing, selecting to be sold in Spencer's stores in Kolkata. So we do from the farm to the table, building the supply chain of vegetables from farm to the table. And we instruct farmers how to cultivate with efficient way and try to make less disposal or less reduction. Or display is arranged to make or forecast. Everything is arranged to reduce dump rate. So I found that so many vegetables or fruits are dumped or wasted here in India, and if you can reduce only 5% or 6%, huge amount of energy can be saved and less vehicle or less power should, and also farmers can get more money. That is very simple. So sustainability, it can be in many ways. So first, of course, solar power, but also we instruct drivers in Japan and began to instruct our drivers fuel efficient driving practice. You can increase the fuel efficient driving and increase the fuel economy like 15% or 20%. That's very easy. But many drivers here don't care. But just checking their tire pressure or air cleaner, periodical cleaning, or such kind of small practice can increase the fuel economy. So we need to educate people, train people to be sustainable, or efficient movement of vegetables, or strong insulation that I'm going to explain later, that if you insulate very much with very nice insulation, then you can use only very small AC, air conditioner. Or I found many hotels or everywhere you set the temperature 20 degrees. Do you really need 20 degrees? If you raise just 1 or 2 degrees, you can save energy a lot. So everyone needs to learn about sustainability with less effort, not really a big investment. And I said less rejection or dump rates. Then everything can be smaller. That means more farmers or more people can access to sustainability and lots of efficient manner or efficient products. Let me explain about one example, make the flow of vegetables from farm to retail outlet, I would say just in time. That's a Toyota's method. First, farmers are always harvest to meet the scheduled pickup. That means we announce to farmers, we are going to pick your vegetable 8:40 or 9 o'clock. Then farmer begins to harvest their vegetables maybe 6 o'clock in the morning to meet. This is to avoid longer exposure to the sun, especially during the summer. That deteriorates and damages vegetables. So we announce farmers the pickup time. This is called the milk run pickup schedule, or like a bus. And the farmer can adjust their schedule, maybe 5 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning, so just in time pickup. Then we bring in to our warehouse, and our ladies make pick, pack, salt, and polish there with the schedule. So they know about which time vegetables are bringing in. So all the materials and everything are prepared before that. Then we store around 20 degrees in Celsius for these vegetables, then ship next day to the supermarket. And of course, we wash carrots and leafy vegetables by RO water to make vegetables much fresher and live longer. So this kind of small operational arrangement can reduce lots of damage or throw away. But of course, we need to do more. Still, our rejection rate is high, like 10%, 15%. But I want to target our rejection rate or dump rate to less than 2% in the future. 2% is probably our Japanese standard. No, but 15% is still crazy. But volume here is huge. So 10% decline, reduction is, you can get huge amount of profit out of that. And the insulation. This is the vertical picture of the wall, and shikui is on the left, 1.5 millimeter. But also we have mortar and the board, last cut board, then air space filled with glass fibers, glass wool. Then brick. The brick is standard in India. Then again, we paint outside with waterproof paints. So this thick wall insulate the room's temperature very much, and eventually we can consume less energy. So our solar power in Shingu can generate more than 25 kVA per hour, but we consume only 5 or 6. That's all. That's more than we expected. So because the AC works with least amount of energy, so they can continue and still non-stop almost 7 years without any stop. I think we can use another 5 or 6 years for those AC before replacing them. And this is, we monitor the harvest, crops or vegetables from Tokyo. These are solar-powered surveillance camera lined up. These are chili. And I'm hoping to export this to Japan. But of course, farmers, they have area, and everyday inspection is very difficult. So we put these surveillance camera purchased from Amazon, and we connect it with a very cheap SIM, and actually that I can monitor or staff monitor from our home in Tokyo. And something happens, we pick up the phone, and something wrong to the farmer. And farmer goes and correct it. So this type of small action can be, can contribute to reduce the rejection or damage. And we are trying to make this detection by AI right now. And possibly that AI can detect and automatically make a phone call or email to the farmer. Then farmer can, the bugs are swarming in to the area or polyhouse or whatever the accident can be monitored. And ladies are very important for our operations. Almost half of our employees are ladies, and they are doing sales or value-add activities, and we want to contribute to such kind, especially for the rural villages. But it's same. Japan, India, ladies are much good and gentle to handle vegetables or everything. So less rejection rate or less mistake. So I very much appreciate the efforts of these ladies. So I found India still selling quantity, not in quality. So consumers visit supermarket and they pick up each potato or whatever tomato, this is good, this is bad, they select by themselves. But this is waste of time because we transport the bad items too to supermarket. If we can bring only good items, then no return. Or we can save the consumers time. So that should be sustainable. So eventually, this will also benefit to increase the farmers' income. So fresh vegetable from Single is our brand, and we also put these faces, farmers' face, to our packet. So consumers can understand who made it. Because many people, especially younger generations, wants to feed their babies or family much safer and reliable food. You don't want to eat unknown source, the food from unknown source. But if you know about this is made by whom, traceability would be another trend in India too. So anyway, this is the end of my presentation, but please remember that sustainability is first human being, and we need to eat safe and delicious but reliable foods to survive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Higuchi, for that very illuminating presentation. Introducing Nizuri and Shikui technologies, as well as the small things that one can do in a warehouse to make it more efficient and less energy dependent. I now request Mr. Vijay Goyal, Regional Executive Director, NTPC Limited, to give his talk. In the interest of time, may I request all the speakers to stick to between 5 to 7 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning to all. We are talking about the sustainability. One of the part of the sustainability is the affordability and clean energy. I come from the organization known as the largest utility of the country, NTPC Limited. Earlier we were restricted or limited to the thermal power generation. Now we are generating power from all source of power, energy, whether it is solar power, wind power, hydro power, and as a backward integration we are also in the coal mining. So NTPC is a energy value chain company these days, having the revenue of around $20 billion. And we are going ahead in terms of the energy with respect to the PSP, pumped storage, and the green hydrogen, apart from the battery storage, which are the requirement of the future, or up to a large extent now they have come to the present case. Now we will talk about the global scenario. It speaks about the globally GDP growth versus electricity demand versus carbon emission. If we see the graph, then it speaks out in 2005. If we take the ratio of the energy per USD, it was around 3.6 and now it is coming down to 2.7. So there is a reduction of 25% of the energy cost. So that makes it globally affordable. And then later on we will talk about the in terms of the country and more specific to in terms of the NTPC. So one of the aspect of the clean energy and affordability, when we talk about the with respect to the global scenario, so this depicts the scenario. Now we talk about this sustainability. Sustainability of the society is one of the element, because if the society is there, then we talk about the sustainability. Now the second element of sustainability is the economics, because economics is the driver of the each and every activity. So economics has to be kept in mind when we talk about the sustainability. And if we talk about these two elements, then the third element is the environment. If the environment is not conducive, whether it is for the human being, whether it is for the industry, whether it is for the other aspect, then the things will not be sustainable. So sustainability requires all three elements, and if we see in terms of the society, it is equitable, sustainable and bearable. If we talk about economics, then we talk about the equality and the viability, both are important when we talk about this one. In terms of the environment, it goes that the environment should be able to bear the activities which we are carrying out. If our activities are not in resonance with the environment, then the things will not be sustainable in the long term. Now we talk about the SDG 7, what the madam has talked in his opening remarks, that they are the goals which were conceptualized in 2015 and they were to be met by 2030. Universal access to affordable, reliable and modern energy activities. When we talk about the accessibility and particularly with respect to the power, electricity, then now it is accessible to each and every one, because 100% electrification has been done in the country. So that is a big achievement of the country, that now the power is available to each and every one. It is affordable, means when we will go in the subsequent slide, we will see how the prices have dropped down, so making it more affordable to each and all. So reliability, another element, because when we talk about the renewables, we talk about the reliability, because the renewable and reliability, those are having something where we need to focus as we go deeper in the renewables. We need to have the more reliability part, which will have the some cost part, but in the overall context, the reliability and the renewability will go side by side. How we can achieve this one? This can be achieved with a good mix of energy, and that we will see in the subsequent slide how this good mix of energy has made it possible for the sustainable power. Doubling the global rate of improvement in energy efficiency means how much energy we are requiring or how much energy we can produce with the $1 of money. So now it was earlier 5.2 joule, now it has gone to 8 joule, megajoule. So that means the global rate of improvement in terms of the energy efficiency is there. Expanding infrastructure as the economic activities grows and as we look forward to the improving the standard of living of our people, then we need to grow the infrastructure and other activities. Financial flow to the developing country for the clean energy. This is another important aspect where a lot of things have been said in the different forums, how the money will be requiring for getting the clean and affordable energy. For that one, some country will be requiring the final assistance at maybe in terms of the grant or maybe in terms of the software loans to make it globally possible. Energy transition, when we talk about the energy transition, how imperative it is. Rising energy demand, as we know that as the GDP grows, the energy demand grows side by side. Balancing affordability, accessibility and decarbonization, because that is the thing which we need to balance it, because every sector is competing with other sector in terms of the requirement of the flow, in terms of technology, in terms of the R&D requirement. So things need to be balanced so that the sector gets the required investment in terms of the R&D, in terms of the innovation, in terms of the technology requirements, at the same time to put the things in place. So the things has to be balanced in terms of both flow of the funds to the sector and the keeping the cost to the possible minimum one. Supporting climate commitments, when we talk of energy transition, definitely those are supporting the climate commitments, because the less CO2 emission is the support to the climate. Role of reliable and cost-effective power in economic growth. Inclusiveness, that speaks about one of the initiative we can say, rooftop solar, that comes to my mind, that speaks of the inclusive growth with energy equity. Everyone can put the solar panel on their rooftop and can have the energy, and the excess energy can be fed to the grid. So it is making the energy more affordable to individual one as well as to the community. Improved air quality and public health helps in reducing the expenditure on the public health, on the medical infrastructure, on the medicines, and so on and so forth. Now, this is the scenario about the installed capacity of this sector globally. Globally, in 2005, we were talking about the fossil fuel based 69%. Numbers was 2,800 gigawatt. Now that number in 2025 has gone very large, 4,800 gigawatt, roughly 1.8 times we can say. But in terms of the share of percentage, it has gone down 48%. That speaks globally how the energy transition is taking place. Similarly, we can see the solar, which was little 1% in 2005 across the globe. Now that solar has gone 20%. So that is the impact of the solar energy which has made to the changes across the world. Now we talk about how the focus of the Indian power sector has shifted time to time, how the new things have made the policy changes. If we talk about before 1980, means I am talking about some 45, 50 years back, electrification, because when we talk about the accessibility, then the electrification is the first requirement. Until unless electrification is not up to the last mile, not up to the users, we cannot have that one. And the key features for the public utilities. In the next decades, the emphasis was on the efficiency, means the power plants of the large scale were introduced, latest technology was introduced. Initially, it was 200 megawatt units or less than 200 megawatt unit, 50 megawatt unit, 100 megawatt unit. The focus has shifted from 200 to 500 megawatt units so that the more efficiency can be brought into the system, and that has led to the almost 2 to 3% of the improvement in the efficiency, unbundling of the utility to have more focus on the generation part. If the utility is dealing that one, focus on transmission and distribution by the individual entity. And that made the requirement of the regulatory commission so that the prices can be judged, can be fixed up, can be due diligence can be done so that the power remains the affordable. In the next decade, the market development was done. The concept of the energy exchanges started that made the excess power or the power can be balanced in different time aspect, or the people can make their consumption of the power with respect to the cost of the power, which may be different at the different time. And that led to the competitive market, and that brought the power trading, as I have said, that the power exchanges and all. In the next decade, the things was sustainability, and the government brought the renewable energy policies and efficiencies that were the important part. In this decade, the government focus was on the national electricity policy, national tariff policies, competitive bidding, mega power, competitive bidding. All these were the elements of the policy part which made the later on help the country to make the big roads in the sector. Means if we recall in 2005, we will be seeing in the subsequent slide how the things have changed. From 2010 to 2020, more emphasis on the technology part, new technology in the solar, and new technology in the wind, and later on the introduction of the ultra supercritical power projects. We talk about those who are having the efficiency in terms of the 40 to 43%, which were earlier used to 36%. So that was the part of the element. and to make the renewable power, to have the sustainability of the renewable power, the RPO, renewable power purchase obligations, that was introduced in the sector so that the people are uh, showing the interest for purchasing the renewable power. Those were the elements which were part of the policy which helped to grow the sector in terms of the renewables. And now now this era is of the emerging technologies, decarbonizations, carbon pricing, or green hydrogen and energy storage. That is the requirement of the day, and that will help to grow more energy in terms of the clean energy. This is the India progress about the clean energy. Now it has gone more than 50%. India is the third largest producer of the power across the globe. 521 gigawatt is installed capacity, and more than that is of the non-fossil fuel based. In the last year, 24-25, 87% capacity addition was from the RE. So you can see how much focus as a country we are putting in terms of the RE, and in time to come, very soon the 30 gigawatt solar park, which is in the process, part of that one is already in operation in Gujarat. That is going to make a good difference, where the present is around 5 to 6, so the country is going in terms of the 5 times of that one, 30 gigawatt. Solar has been main driver, which we will see how the country has also made the progress, what we have seen in terms of the global scenario. Green hydrogen and the storage will be the part of the system. They has to be part of the ecosystem. Strong policy. Again, the support of the government is there in terms of the national mission, National Green Hydrogen Mission, where some budget allocation of 20,000 crore has been assigned to have the infrastructure, to have the initial push to the hydrogen mission. Policy support, another policy support in terms of the PLI, production linked incentives, green power, open access, and RPO, which I have said earlier. A strong transmission, whenever there is a congestion, the government is giving a lot of emphasis for the transmission part of that one, so that that power can be used for the country. India target 500 gigawatt of non-fossil capacity, what we are having the total capacity. Energy independence by 2047 and net zero by 2070, if we talk on the long-term goals. Now that is the thing which we are talking about in 2005. Whatever percentage we are seeing with respect to 2005 of the country, that is with respect to the 105 gigawatt or 105,000 megawatt of the total power capacity. 65% of that was the fossil fuel based. Now with respect to that one, you can think of 500 gigawatt, more than 500 gigawatt, 521 gigawatt precisely, only 44% is there. The solar, which was almost non-existent at that part, it is now consists of 41%. So that is a big step with respect to the overall global scenario, where we have seen that the 20% is coming from that one. And the India itself, 41% is coming from that one, and that to a that is a substantial quantity. This is how the country has progressed in terms of the RE in a single in a single year. Basically, substantial has been added. We have shown in terms of the 5 year. Now it is 140 gigawatt solar itself, along with 55 of wind and a small quantity of biomass. Now this is a snapshot when we talk about the present and the future in terms of the next 25 years and future in terms of the next 45 to 50 years, how the energy will be going. Per capita consumption, which was in the range of 700 in 2005, has come up to the 1400. It is doubled of that one, and going to be more than 4 times in the 2050, another 25-year span, and later on of 10,000. So that is the plan on which country is thinking. If we talk about in terms of the installed capacity, you can see from 500 to the 3800 to the 6800. 40% to the 89%, that is the big jump on which the country is going for the power. To the 98% in 2070 when we talk about the net zero. Emission factor, which is 0.727 to 0.257, so one third of that one to the nearly zero in 2070. Battery storage, another important element of achieving that one, from almost negligible 0.5 gigawatt or 500 megawatt, less than that of the 900 gigawatt, which will be much more than the what we are having the total capacity. Pumped storage, another 100 gigawatt, it is planned in next 10 years. So that will help in the variability of the renewables. And investment, you can see $5 trillion for 2050 and around 9. Those are the figures which have been calculated on the certain assumptions. Solar, we have talked about this one. Here technology improvement has led to the efficiency increment in this one, and quite high reduction in the cost of solar, which was earlier 15 to 16 rupees in 15 years back, 2010 to 2011. It has come down to around 3 rupees, 350 rupees, 3.5 rupees in the present scenario. So this has been to the reduction in the module cost, and now the country is making the module itself, so that is sustainable and may reduce further. But the limitation, as we know, intermittency, grid integration, land requirement, large solar require the land that has to be identified, has to be used, storage dependency, all of us know. And maybe down the line, maybe 10, 15 years, we will have something which we need to think of, the disposal of the solar panels, which is less talked now, but will be requiring in next to 10 to 15 years. When there is a turbine design improvement. Earlier this was 2.5 to 3 megawatt, now the more is of 4.5 to 5 megawatt, and the height is also gone, and the die of the blade is also gone. This has led to the improvement from 30 to the 45% of the efficiency part. Nuclear, when we say that the large reduction on the part of the coal power, then for a stable, for a regular, for a continuous basis, you need some another source. The nuclear may be the one of the source which the country has identified in terms of the 100 gigawatt by 2047, and the NTPC will be sharing around 30% of that 130 gigawatt. Maybe 2070, these are the estimated number, maybe around 300 gigawatt the country may be required if you want to go on that scale. But always everything comes with some premium or some limitation. High capital cost is one of the part, long gestation period which this nuclear is required, and the high safety and security codes which need to be followed. And at the same time, nuclear is having the less operational flexibility. That is also one of the limitations for the nuclear. We talk about the emerging technologies. These are required for the grid stabilities because integration of RE brings a large of variability. Green hydrogen production. Green hydrogen, one of the future fuel of the globe, because when we do the production of hydrogen by the electrolysis, we get the hydrogen and oxygen. So oxygen can be used as per the industrial purpose. At the same time, if that oxygen is released in the atmosphere, so that oxygen can be again used when we are burning the hydrogen. So that is the one thing which comes to my mind. If we are producing the hydrogen through the renewables and we are using the hydrogen, so that can be quite sustainable in the centuries to come, because there you are closing the loop. You are producing the hydrogen from the renewables and you are using that oxygen which is released during the electrolysis for the combustion, so that the whole circle is completed. So that is quite sustainability is there. Carbon capturing and utilization is required till we are using the coal-based projects. hybrid solar and wind projects for the battery stability, because both of them complement each other. Energy storage requirement which is projected by the CA for the time to come. Now this is our transition from one phase to another phase as a company, from the thermal power to the power generating to the integrated energy.
Mr. Goel,
Yes, please.
in the interest of time, if you could.
Yeah, I will be taking just one and a half minute more. So this is the integrated energy spectrum, making clean energy affordable and accessible, economics of scales and competitive bidding. Digitalization is important when we talk about the emerging technology, use of AI for the renewables and for the prediction, so that the energy balance can be there, the grid stability can be there. Strengthening the domestic manufacturing, localization of the supply chain, streamlining the land acquisition, that will be another important aspect to drive the solar. Partnership with the state, DISCOM, empowering rural and energy. These are the community development strategies which we follow, supporting the nearby areas, and we are fair to all stakeholders, generating awareness about the different programs of the country and our programs, supporting the measures for biodiversity. Now these are some of the pictures how we support the community, how this community development support is there through our different schemes. Because the time limitation is there, otherwise I would have described some of the activities which we are taking. One of the premium flagship program is what the madam was talking about, the empowerment of the women. We are having one program across the country through our all projects, where we are supporting the 40 girls every year who are going from class 5th to class 6 for their development. That is GEM program, Girl Empowerment Program. Till now we have trained, or we have 40,000 girls have participated in that program. So that is giving a lot of empowerment and a lot of support to the community development, and they are the brand ambassador to their respective area and respective regions. So these are the way forward that we have. Some of the things we have already talked, the infra for the RE, forecasting and scheduling, for which the AI can be a big support, building domestic manufacturing, finance and investment enablement environment, very, very crucial for any sector to prosper. Collaboration with industry and institution. And that's all. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Goel, for giving us an excellent perspective of both Indian power scenario as well as global power scenario. So now I would request Mr. Anupam Mukhopadhyay to give the next talk.
Thank you. Thanks this August gathering. I will take exactly 10 minutes and I'll be very brief. I understand the constraints that how do I change it? Yeah. So I'm talking on behalf of GAIL, which is a company which started in '84, 30 years plus, and we are not dealing with sustainable items but unsustainable things like natural gas. But this is one of the key elements on the way to sustainability. So as you can see that various progress that we have made in 30 years, so that natural gas makes inroads inside our country through various infrastructure projects. Now this is the current status that we are consuming only 6% of our energy from natural gas. In world, the figure is around 25%. In developed countries, it is even higher. In Gujarat, it is around 40%. So it is an indicator of our progress towards sustainability. Why, I will explain it a bit later. These are the various figures that compares us with other Western countries and developed countries, where we can clearly see that gas consumptions are higher in certain countries which have developed enough infrastructure also, and their economy is more sustained through the gas consumptions. Uh, my predecessor has already shown you this energy basket thing, that coal is the prime component in our energy. But why do we opt for natural gas compared to other fossil fuel? The reason specifically is that it is a transient fuel, transient to sustainable and renewable energy. So on presently on short term it is environment friendly, a bit more sustainable, and it is also an import substitution, because presently we are 50% of our requirement of gas is being sourced from country itself, unlike liquid hydrocarbons. Yeah. So the scenario that we will be taking is that primarily from coal and oil, these two fuels will be transiting to natural gas, and ultimately our objective is that in future our country energy basket will be from biofuels, renewables and hydrogen. But in order to achieve that, natural gas, which is nothing but methane, is having a very important role, like in all other developed countries. So this is the present levels of gas consumption in our country, where I have already said that 50% of the quantity is coming from our internal sources. So we are a bit more independent in that sense, energy independent as far as gas is concerned. This is how the gas is coming to India. It is coming from USA, it is coming from Russia, it is coming from Australia, and bulk of the quantity is also coming from Qatar, which is making news for the last 1 week, because that supply is getting choked and it may create some problem for us. But as you can see from the spread that we are not solely dependent on Gulf countries as far as gas is concerned, unlike crude and other liquid hydrocarbons. This is again the use of natural gas, which is primarily being used in fertilizer as a feed element. That means that methane is converted to urea. That is how we are contributing to economy by providing cheap fertilizers to our farmers. It is also being used in refinery and petrochemicals, steel industries, but the new trend that is emerging is city gas distribution, for which the Bengal Gas subsidiary of GAIL is trying to build infrastructure in Calcutta. So as you can see that presently roughly 20% of the natural gas is being consumed in various metro cities and big cities, which will eventually go to around 40% in future. This is how the natural gas is used, like food, primarily biscuit industries, glass industries, steel industries, automobiles and ceramics, because methane being a source of energy which can be controlled precisely, just like electricity, and it is cheaper than electricity. So this is one way of for energy, one source of energy, which is a very I'll say has been welcomed by industries all over India because of its convenience. This is presently network that is developed across India. Now this network, as you can see, is mostly in western and northern part, but this network is getting spreaded gradually to eastern India also. The natural gas has reached Calcutta outskirts and it is supposed to reach Haldia also shortly, within 2-3 months. And this has also reached the northeast part through a special pipeline up to Guwahati, apart from the local network that was already there, isolated networks which is there. So idea is that there should be a pan-India network which is interconnected with each other so that energy can be transited from one place to another easily. So this is how this quantum of energy that will grow in future. These are the various operational pipelines which are being operated by various companies, as GAIL is the largest operator, having 74% of the infrastructure. The investment in gas-based economy is also huge. So this is very important as far as next transition for our economy. This is another aspect, is that domestic gas is being controlled by Government of India in the interest of industry, so that natural gas is adopted by more and more people, particularly in city gas area, where we are encouraging people to change from diesel and petrol to CNG and LNG. LNG infrastructures are not yet developed, but CNG infrastructure is extensively developed, including in West Bengal. So we hope that this will help us to reduce the pollution in urban areas particularly. Regarding sustainability, like one more thing is that anything that we put forward must be economically also viable. So as you can see here that fuel prices of LNG or gas is stable except a few disturbances like war with Ukraine and the present Qatar crisis. So these are the various hurdles, or I'll say the challenges that is there in front of us, like how to decarbonize our country. As you can see that we are not that bad in terms of CO2 emissions per capita, is around 1.9 ton, whereas China and US are obviously the biggest energy guzzlers and CO2 emitters. So it is a thing which is achievable, as my predecessor has already given that 500 gigawatt non-fossil things will come, 50% energy will come from renewable energy, and similarly we have a target of net zero at 2070, and we want to reduce our carbon intensity by 2030 to 45%. This is the items on which our predecessor has already talked, so let's skip this. So this is one more item, is that we are heavily dependent for our agricultural based economy on fertilizers, and natural gas will be a key element for fertilizers. Even though we will be reducing our consumptions of fossil fuel, but use of natural gas for fertilizer will be there for on long-term basis. These are the other things which will help us, like in decarbonization, like in steel industries, where we can use hydrogen or methane. Regarding the green hydrogen, I would like to highlight that GAIL has already set up a 4 metric ton per day hydrogen plant in a place called Vijaypur in Madhya Pradesh, which is operating totally on solar energy. Of course, these are not without its challenges. There are frequent breakdowns because of water quality issues. It is also pretty costly. The cost of generating 1 ton of hydrogen is around 600 rupees. 1 kg of hydrogen is around 600 rupees, which is much more compared to the conventional fuel, which is the range of around 70 to 100 rupees per kg. So these challenges are there, but we have taken it by horn, and we hope that we'll be setting an example. One more item is that we'll be gradually spreading the use of piped natural gas throughout the city so that people use less wood, coal, and this will help us to reduce pollution in urban areas. So this is how the CGD networks are being spreaded all over India. Right now it is covering 98% population and 88% geographical area. Roughly around 1.4 crore households are presently supplied with piped natural gas. One more aspect that I would like to say is that we have also done experiment in mixing hydrogen with natural gas network. I have been personally involved in this project in Indore city, where we have mixed around 400 kg hydrogen every day, and we have successfully conducted this test for around 1.5 years with no adverse impact. And the idea is to gradually increase this percentage of hydrogen. Theoretically, it can go up, even in domestic household, it can go to as high as 20%. But we have limited our experiment only up to 5%. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mukhopadhyay, for that elaborate presentation on GAIL. Now I request Mr. S.K. Das, ED Technical of Haldia Refinery, to make his presentation.
I think it's good afternoon. Respected speakers and distinguished personalities on dais, off the dais, industry experts, participants, ladies, gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. In fact, the last speaker normally has the biggest trouble of covering the time. Am I audible? Yeah. I'll not take much time because I think we're running behind the schedule. So, I'm very proud of representing a company that has a turnover of close to 100 billion US dollars. And also, I'm working in Haldia Refinery. So, here in this forum, because all these data and concepts have already been explained, I will not go into them. I'll only create a few confusions. I'll cover a few conflicts that we are struggling with, because I believe in a concept called confusion for clarity. Now that is the thing that I really and strongly believe in, because we operate a refinery. We all know that in a water pipeline, normally the water travels at ambient temperature. The pressure is normally 3 to 4 kg or 5 kg per centimeter square. Whereas in a refinery, the product runs at a pressure as high as 180 kg per centimeter square, at a temperature as high as 12 to 1300 degrees centigrade, primarily contained inside pipes, vessels, columns. Till the moment they are inside the containment, they are good. Once they come out of that, it's a disaster. It's about safety, it's about profitability, it's about economics that a refinery truly works with. When we talk of the topic that is affordable and accessible clean energy, I start with clean energy, that is the subject of it. Then it should become accessible, and then it should become affordable as well. When I deal with it, how it actually can be affordable and accessible, those have been explained through all the networks, all the concepts, all the technologies that are prevailing in the field of renewable energy, alternate energies. What I'll say is that everything is available, but how are you going to really adopt them? What matters? It's people and it's technology. Basically, it's a human and technology interface that is really required in its biggest importance to make the things work properly. Hello. Hello. I'll just give you a small example. Haldia refinery, I'm here since last 1 year almost. When I came or joined the refinery, last 3 years this refinery was incurring loss to the tune of 1,000 crores to 2,500 crores a year. Was the refinery working pathetically? No. There are many factors which actually govern such kind of things, including the efficiency, including the way it is operated. Today, when I stand on, say, in the month of March of 1 year ahead, the refinery has earned a profit close to 1,000 crores, has on its account. What made it possible? Nothing. It's only awareness that has gone inside people. People who are not bothered about loss of steam, loss of products, loss of water, today are concerned about even a drop of water lost in the process. They work for it. They save it. And every drop of water saved is actually a profit in the kitty of the company. One. This is the human part of it. When I come to the technology part of it, we were consuming close to 430 tons of steam per hour to operate the refinery. Today, would you be able to imagine in a period of 1 year what is the consumption data? It's 340. 90 tons per hour steam reduced. What made it work? People looked at possibilities. People looked at ways to stop the drain of steams and power. And people also looked at possibilities to combine the whole network. To present a view, if I stop one equipment at one point in time, what impact it leaves on the entire system in terms of the steam consumption and the profit earned. The urge of earning profit drove us to saving steam almost 90 tons per hour. This is where we employed an AI-enabled software. We entered the whole refinery steam circuit into it. Steam and power balance were actually worked out on that. And people were aware at any point in time what is going to make the difference. They worked, and today, yes, it is possible. When I come to the energy consumption part of it, the pollution part of it, we normally say metric ton of CO2 equivalent greenhouse gas emission. We started with 0.35 3 years back. Today we are at 0.27. The current data is 0.25. And we have taken a target to improve it up to 0.2. Now it is only people, it is only technology. It is basically an efficient interface between the technology and people that can make the energy, the clean part cannot be made, I know, but affordability, accessibility, because every unit of energy saved is the unit of energy earned. Now I have to save every part of it to provide it to somebody who needs it. Every big schemes will come and go, they will work, they will do its function. But as an individual, what I have contributed will definitely be there in history. That's what my appeal to everybody. Let's contribute individually. Let's think of technology. Let's think of each point that is vested. Let's think of each pollution account that is contributed by us. If we can work on this, all the agendas jointly, we can definitely lead to a cleaner and more accessible and more affordable energy part. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Das, for that excellent presentation on Haldia Refinery. We come to the end of the session. So unfortunately, we have overshot the time, so we don't have any time for Q&A. So I'd like to thank all the panelists on the dais for the efforts they have put in making such wonderful presentations to this august audience. So thank you very much.
Sir, I would like to, request you to give the mementos to our speakers of this session. To Mr. Keiichi Higuchi. To Mr. Vijay Goel, sir. To Mr. Anupam Mukhopadhyay. To Mr. S.K. Das. Thank you. With that, we end our opening session.